Welcome, everybody. It's December 12th of the amazing year 2020, and in true 2020 style, Dallas Personal Robotics Group will have its monthly meeting and virtual contest virtually this month. My name is Carl Ott. I'm the current president of this club, and we have a fun lineup today, so if you'll pardon me for a moment while I switch computers, then we'll walk through the presentation and hope everyone has a good time. So click a few buttons here, your screen. See this button. Now everybody should be seeing my screen. Okay, great. So today's the 12th of December. We went through that already. Briefly about Dallas Personal Robotics Group, for those who might not be familiar who are watching the recording afterwards. We were founded quite a while ago, IRS 501c, and we meet every Tuesday night, these days virtually, since virus problems. We just like to build and putz around with gadgets and things and compete and learn. STEM for all ages, assembling robots and projects from scratch or kit bashing, sensors, motors, microcontrollers, fabrication, all the goodies. Special shout out to our sponsors. They've been very good to us over the years, and we always like to recognize their support of the club. So today, a brief bit on club housekeeping. Then we'll start off with the Freestyle open style contest. Then we'll have the line following simulation contest, and then awards and prizes. And I think about the housekeeping, yeah, pretty simple. We have the 9th of January meeting coming up where we'll hold the final part of the annual election, and we'll do annual planning. Now, normally we start the voting for the election this month. So we'll announce more details about that by email, but we need a certain percentage of the club to vote to make it official. And the proposal is that the slate will be the same as it is now, unless somebody wants to relieve me and the rest, but it'll just be as we are unless someone wants to try something else. And then on the 16th of January, we've got an invitation to SRS in Seattle, a virtual sumo, where they'll be accepting entries by mail and running it at one of the contest organizers' houses. Any other items on housekeeping before we move on? Okay, so the Freestyle open style. So our first contest today is with 2 to 4 minute videos of contestants with autonomous robots performing their function. And well, you can read, or I've already read it, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to watch the videos, and then you all get to vote, and prizes go to the top scorers. Now, since we're virtual, we're going to practice the voting before we get started on this. It turns out that in October, Google Meet opened up a new feature called Polls. And basically, in a moment, you'll see one. The notification comes up at the bottom, or you can go up the top right corner for activities, polls, and it'll open a poll. So if I do that right now, you can see our first little practice poll. Where is it? Practice polling. We'll launch it. So if everybody could just vote on your favorite robot and practice clicking the buttons. We'll see how many people, we'll see where the nerds really are in this world. There are some oldies but goodies in here. So we have, how many votes? It doesn't tally the total number of votes.
Did you send
5, 7, we have 8 votes.
So where do you see this? I see a raised hand.
Yeah.
If you look at my screen, like in the top right corner of the Meet, of the web page, there'll be the 3 dots with your photo, and then it'll have that funny symbol with activities.
Okay, I see a pin yourself. I see me. I see a pin. I don't see anything else on my name line. On the top, you're saying.
Yeah, you don't see this
You
triangle.
should see a little, triangle, square, and circle. And when you click on that, then in poll should come up as one of the options.
Over there. Okay, I see that. It says breakout room pose QA are the choices when I click on that.
Click on poll,
Okay.
and then you can vote.
Okay. Okay, so you said pick one of these. Okay.
Yeah. Just a practice run. There's nothing, no pressure. Okay, good. All right. Did anyone not vote yet?
I did not vote yet because I'm on Android. I don't think this polling thing is implemented. I'm going to download the PC version.
Isn't that funny? Google hasn't implemented on their own. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, Steve, I trust you'll figure it out. So we'll just skip you for the practice phase if you want.
That's fine.
Okay. So now we'll show the results. And isn't this just cool? We can see that there's 4 votes for Robbie, 3 for R2D2. Klaatu and C3PO are tied with K9 from Doctor Who. So there you go. And nobody voted for the Lost in Space robot or the newer Star Wars generation. So I think that's a little revealing about our age or something. I don't know what it's revealing, but anyhow, that's how we'll vote on contestants. Any comments or questions? All right. Now, the next thing before we dig in and start watching these videos, thought might make sense to review just the rules. So I've pasted them up here, and I know it's pretty straightforward. Just basically watch it. There's very few requirements. The idea is to show something autonomous, highlighting something interesting, ingenious about the way it works, the way it's built or designed. Can't cheat by buying off-the-shelf stuff or showing off-the-shelf unmodified stuff for a minute length. And basically, this is an audience favorite. So, so we will ask everyone to vote at the end. Any questions on that? Okay, so now we had 2 options here. The one was that, like, I could try and present it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then we can share the links in the chat, and everybody can watch it from their own browser for a few minutes. So let's give this a try, just from the presentation machine. And let's see.
Oh, can I interrupt for just 1 second?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to make sure. Sorry.
If I could hit, okay.
Carl, I'd have to say that's not working. It's dropping so many frames you can't see what it's doing.
Okay, then we're gonna scrap that immediately as planned, and I'm gonna put this in, and what we'll do is we'll just give everyone about 3 or 4 minutes. And I think, David, you just put your spins and odometry in to get us started off. So if you go ahead, Ron.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, if I can just ask one question. I'm going to mute my microphone. If you hear anything from me, I've got to look at a couple of the videos for my runs while I'm watching these runs. And if you hear my stuff, yell, okay? And
If I hear your stuff, I'll mute you.
Oh, but hopefully that works completely, right? I mean, you don't hear any other sound from my computer if my microphone's muted? Must not, right?
If I mute you, I hear no other sounds.
Okay, good. Thanks. Okay, thank you. Just didn't want to mess with anybody. Okay.
Okay, so let's look in chat now, and David's video is 3 minutes, 15 seconds. So we can just time this from my machine, and we'll wait until about everybody's done, okay? So the first one is RCAT spins, and the idea is watch them and get your brain straight, and at the end, I'll open the voting.
Okay, where's the chat?
The chat?
Should I talk while this is running? Shall I narrate? I can only narrate my own version of it.
So one thing at a time. So David, if you look at my screen, you see this little box up on the top right corner?
Yeah,
That's the chat. And you come down here and you can type and say hello.
okay. Gotcha.
All right?
Yep.
And then, David, do you prefer to try and talk as we're each individually watching?
Well, it won't be in sync. Why don't we just run it and see how that works? So
Okay.
are you going to say go? Are you going to say go and we all started at the same time?
Send the links again, please.
Send the link again. It's in the chat.
I put the link in the chat already.
I'll do it again.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. So there's no narrative. Okay.
I can't understand what anybody's saying.
There's, let me just ask a question. So there's no narration on the video. So what we need to do is when you say go, we run the video on our machine and listen to you. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so raise your hand if you do not have the video queued up in your browser. You do not? Okay. Are you stuck or you need a moment or two, or are you going to skip it? Okay, you're muted, Doug and Ray.
Give me a second here. I guess I wasn't quite following everything around quite as well as I should. So where are the links?
Okay,
In the
if you
chat.
check in the chat.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That kind of makes sense.
And I open up a different window basically, so I have the YouTube off to the side.
Yeah. So I've
It's the
been
simple
toggling
way.
it. So get the first one, our cat spins. Okay, Ray and Doug, you with us?
Just a second.
Ray's there.
Yep.
Okay, I'm on.
Okay. So on the count of three, right? So three,
Don't,
and then
don't run.
Huh?
Don't run that one from your presentation. It's all screwed up. Just don't run it.
oh, so separated. So I watched it out here. You mean?
And don't broadcast what you're watching.
I see. Okay, I won't broadcast on one. Okay, all right. So are you ready, everybody? On the mark, on the count of three. So 3, 2.
In fact, you don't really need to be presenting right now.
Okay, if that helps, I will stop. Okay,
We're improvising.
this is we're finding our way through this, right? No problem.
Okay, and Carl, you're going to say go?
I am going to say go. If anybody's not ready, raise your hand. Okay, we're all ready. So on your mark, get set, play.
So can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep. And I'm at about 13
All right.
seconds.
What this does is it's going to run just around a little triangle, sort of standard navigation, and then try to do the same thing spinning, like I showed at the RB and O. So that's a 3-foot right triangle. Okay, so basically to switch from that mode to the other mode, I've got to do 3 or 4 things. I've got to change normal mode, the rotational velocity is 0 and the forward velocity is 40%. I'm changing the forward velocity to 0 and the rotational velocity to 40%. And then I have to turn off a couple of the functions and tell it to use a pirouette mode. So I probably should have just cut this out of the video, but I didn't have enough time. Got to listen to the little blinky button.
How do you remember all those steps?
Well, I'm reading it off the LCD. The LCD tells me what I'm doing.
So you do what the robot tells you to do, okay?
right, today is December 9th. We just have
It's pretty impressive.
One nice thing about institutional hallways, those are 1 foot square tiles. You can use it like a big piece of graph paper.
It reminds me of a combat robot, like a slow, melty robot.
Woohoo!
I didn't make it quite back to the beginning. I think if I'd let it spin a couple more times, it might have. So. Okay, that's all.
Nicely done. All right. So shall we move on to the next one?
Can we ask questions?
Do somebody else's next call. Don't do another one. Yes, what question?
Well, I just want to say, I think that the thing that's really super impressive about that is the fact that, you know, we all know that when you spin, you have a tendency to lose your odometry, or lose your, I shouldn't say odometry, you tend to lose your heading, and yet your robot was able to do all those spins and still drive to where it was needed to go to. I thought that was really cool.
Was it just using encoder accounts, or is there a gyro on there as well?
I'm sure you was using a gyro, weren't you?
I have a hybrid odometry that I described in other meetings.
Okay, yeah. Okay. You might want to mention it to the people that are new here.
Well, it's basically a standard odometry. You get the distance traveled as the average of the two wheels, and you get the heading as one wheel minus the other divided by the wheelbase. And we use the two of those to come up with location. And what I'm doing is I'm using the wheels for the distance traveled, but I'm using a z-axis rate gyro for the rotational ones. And it's pretty good. That's the thing that's keeping track of the heading. And that works actually remarkably well. I'm not using the full IMU. I'm just using the z-axis rate gyro. Is that good enough?
Cool. Well, thank you, David. And David, you wanted to swirl around with another competitor then? Or did you want
to? I'm sorry?
You had two videos. Did you say to skip the second one or to do it?
Well, I thought maybe we could see somebody else's work and come back to that second one.
Okay. Then let's move on. So how about we do Dodgen's?
So Carl, will you type that address into the chat so I can copy and paste?
Well, yeah, that's just done.
Okay.
So this is Robbie. And then Doug, does this one have audio? Is it self-explanatory, or were you narrating kind of like Dave?
Let me get myself unmuted. It's basically all about its own audio. It doesn't do a lot of fully before anybody votes. It simulates voice recognition. Voice recognition broke the day I was trying to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Does everybody have it loaded up in their browser? Anybody not have it? Okay. So here we'll just hit go and check back in 3.5 minutes.
You might want to mute yourselves or we're going to have a whole lot of
You will. It's noisy.
I don't have it.
It's a slow to download, so I don't know if it's going to buffer or not.
I don't seem to be able to read this.
I hope it will work with multiple people doing it. It's on my own web server, which may not be able to handle the load.
What a glorious feeling. Wait, what is that?
Are we waiting for a signal to start playing?
I think
you might want to present that yourself because it freezes on mine.
Carl, can you send that URL to the DPRG email list? I've tried on this other computer if I could get to it from there.
Carl, you're on mute.
Yes, I will. Here we go. Except Ron, I don't have yours yet. Okay, link sent. All right, so let's just try and get this started. So I'll say, whenever you can, get started, and we'll check back in 3.5 minutes, or if you're really stuck, just raise your hand in the Slack. But I'm going to go on mute so I don't disturb everyone.
So is anybody else seeing it? Is it just me?
It does play, but it may be having problems with the load.
It basically gets around the corner, then it freezes on me.
Yeah, mine played for 23 seconds and now it's stuck.
Yeah, when he gets around the corner, he just stands there and talks.
I get a few seconds and it's stuck. I'm stuck on 47 seconds.
So you might want to just kill all that and have him present it, as I'm thinking.
Feel free to pass it by too. It's mostly just demonstrating text to speech and was simulating speech to text.
You look like you put sonar on the bottom though, as an addition to the base. From what I see, if you modify it, right?
I didn't quite catch that.
You added some features to it that wasn't original, like the sonar on the bottom.
Right. It's all about adding to it and making it autonomous. This particular piece I added recently was the text-to-speech version, and the voice recognition was working until Google froze that account.
So do you change out the blinds in it, and what do you put in there instead of what it had before?
Before it had a dedicated CPU, and I've taken that out. I put in a Raspberry Pi 4 and an Arduino Mego is running the sensor parts. The Pi is responsible for the talking parts. And eventually camera, network transmission, that sort of stuff. Feel free to skip past my entry if it's dogging out so bad it makes it unusable.
You've made a lot of progress in the 2 or 3 months since you got up from Harold, right?
Yes, it's coming along well. I'm actually not real happy with the current voice. It's a little more robotic than I want, and I'm switching to a different type of voice next week. Give up the Google text-to-speech engine because they just seem iffy on their stuff, and somebody else is coming up that I think I'm going to be much more happy with.
Okay.
So a suggestion would be you can leave that in the background and let it download all the way and watch it later. So
Yeah.
let it just keep loading.
Doug, could you try to play it by presenting it, or?
Oh, I bet I could play the audio and I could just hear it. That's definitely an idea. Let me, he's quite a cut up.
Voice commands or?
Y'all hear it now?
What a glorious feeling. Wait, what is that? Fuse void detected. Intruder alert. Intruder alert. Stop. Who goes there? Identify yourself or you will be terminated in 10 seconds.
Doug.
Password incorrect. Provide proper password or be terminated in 6 seconds.
Robocop.
Password Robocop accepted. How may I help you?
Introduce yourself.
Hello. I am the full autonomous robot personality and your AI assistant. My name is Heartbeat 10.1 Unit 8793844. But you can call me Roby. As you may know, all HARP units are equipped with cameras, speakers and microphones, as well as movement detection and object avoidance sensors. I can communicate via speech synthesis, and I am now doing, when fully functional. As a HARP unit, I will be able to detect humans that I normally interact with through facial recognition. I will be able to recognize verbal commands from authorized personnel, and will roam autonomously about my environment, detecting humans with my sensors. Later, I will be able to map the space I have access to. You know, I think that I have a very agreeable personality, but for some reason the dog does not like me. I believe it is a jealousy thing. I have notified the psychiatrist about it. But to go on. In addition, HARP units will be network connected and able to transmit video and other data to secure servers. In case they are kicked over or otherwise slashed by an intruder with a baseball bat. I will be able to be taught behaviors such as monitor space, Greek visitors, and I'm learning to play a me game of chess. Version 2 HARP units will contain an Amazon Alexa interface which ensures Alexa can be used wherever I am without an additional expensive device. It will also be possible to remotely control my movements and remotely activate my speakers and microphones by web interface in the future. You can keep up with my progress by reading the Roby refurbished blog at myrobotblogs.com. By the way, don't forget to click on the like and subscribe buttons. And be sure to vote for me. For Best Robot of the Year, I could go on. But enough about me. How may I help you?
Monitor space.
I am pleased to be of service. Monitoring space. Oh, by the way, that all you will be terminated thing was just a joke. My tasers really are non-lethal. Except for that one unfortunate accident. My lawyers have advised me not to talk about that anymore. One last thing. Luke, I found your real sense camera. Tell your DPRG friend Ray it is a VF0800.
Thank you, Roby. I will.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Doug.
You're
Very
welcome.
nice.
Hey, Ray, check it out. I found it.
Oh yeah, it's a creative brand. Does it say creative on the front?
Yeah, it's an old one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of the early ones.
Huh.
Just a sideline.
Yep.
Okay, guys, let's move on to the next. So how about Jesse from Iowa? I've put the URL into chat. David, were you able to get those on your email?
HPI Baja 5B
My wife is narrating. I hired her as my voice actor.
Very nice. Professional voice.
The first 2 minutes of the video are the description, and I let the video speak for itself the second two.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's just all hit go and come back in about 4 minutes then.
Rover Max started life as an HPI Baja 5B Flux Edition. It's been
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like how people have to jump out of the way.
Especially the plow in the front, yes. Pushing those barrels.
Got the people plow on front.
Do you see the rover, the other rover get knocked off to the side too? He tried to take me out.
Yeah, looks like he ran up on your wheels.
Yep. It didn't work out for him.
No.
Saw a guy on rollerblades too. Seemed like chasing bots around.
Yeah, he was taking video for the Spark Fun.
All right.
That's very cool.
Cool.
Any questions?
I think we're all in awe. Doug P,
Thank
you're
you.
muted.
I was wondering, that was some pretty fast movement. What sort of object avoidance sensors were you using?
None. Zero.
How did it know not to run into things?
It ran into everything.
I pre-programmed the course.
Oh, okay.
So it's all GPS based.
No, just dead reckoning.
Okay.
Jesse, you said you used the BNO 350, a BNO 0355.
No, 55, yeah.
Yeah. The question I had is, you're just using the gyro mode, right?
Correct.
That's what I thought.
The compass mode is unreliable. The auto calibration really messes things up.
Mm-hmm.
Your error with that is significantly higher. Over this length course, my error, even on a rough course, is probably a foot or two maximum over that whole length of course, generally.
Have you used
I do that.
Have you used that control inside as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know.
We've been trying to convince Murray, who's learning how to use that, to turn off the compass. But it's so far to no avail. We can't convince him to do it. I wish you had seen this video.
After, say, 18 full square circles, my error margin is probably 10 degrees. Just like doing a square like 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet and just going around it. After about 18 times, the error is about 10 degrees total. So more than sufficient for this length course.
And that's just with the gyro, not the compass, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The error from the compass, every time you auto calibrate it, is more than enough to increase the error beyond what you get with just the gyro.
Mm. It encourages me to do a little open CV thing with a camera and an actual compass. I'm going to try that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend who set up a 360-degree sensor, and he was actually using it to detect the sun and use that to get a heading.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way I do it.
For short runs, right?
Yeah.
Reckoned by the stars. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Okay, then let's see. I think there's nobody else. Then I have mine, so I'll put that into the chat window here. So prepared minutes before we started, so let's just hit play.
Hey, Skitty.
Okay. And that's it,
Cool.
such as it were.
Those wheels are really smooth moving.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you know, when you drive RC cars and it's coming towards you, it takes a little practice to get 2 dimensions of control down. But I'm sure, as David would tell you from a helicopter, when you have a couple extra dimensions, it's even more wacky. So that's what I get for not practicing more than a few minutes before the video. And the only autonomous part of that was when it did the circle at first. So it's not anywhere near the SparkFun level of autonomy, but yet. I can't wait to try the DNO 55 or one of those and see then what kind of pirouettes this thing can do. Take on Dave and his triangle, but with different wheels.
All you need to do is add a real propeller on the top so it can fly up.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah. I keep eyeing those things hanging from the ceiling behind David. So, all right. Okay. No other questions then? Good. Are there any other entrants that we missed? Oh, David. One more for David. Right. Okay. So now, David, we had a limit of 4 minutes, I think, and then this one looked like a 7-minute job. So is there a section of that we should focus in on?
David is muted.
On the ARCAD odometry video, just put the link in.
David's talking away, but he's muted.
And
Yeah,
David, you're still
your
muted.
mouth moving, but no sound.
Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's 7 minutes long, but it's in 2 halves, and so you can basically at about a 4-minute mark, you can cut it off. Or
Okay.
if you're just fascinated, you can go ahead and watch the other 3 minutes. Life is so short.
Okay. All right. So does everybody have the link? I just put it in. So we'll hit play and then be back in 4 to 7 minutes.
Let me
4
remember
to
to
7
mute
minutes and
myself.
40 seconds.
This one does have some text. I should probably explain I have 2 virtual boundaries at the end of each hallway to keep the robot from running away. And you'll see when it runs into those.
Yeah, I sped the playback up to 2x, kind of time warp with no real loss of coolness.
That's what I did too.
Well, that's a good trick. It built into YouTube. That's kind of nice.
So he can do it for real, but could he do it in LFS?
Or would he even want to? Because he can't do it in real.
Hey, Ron, I think you got it confused.
Don't know where you guys are in the video, but at 3 minutes, it sets off a timer and tries to navigate back to where it started.
So David, is it just exploring this within this virtual perimeter that includes the hallway in your office?
Yeah, the only time the virtual perimeter comes into play is at the end of each hallway to keep it from going away too far. Otherwise, it's just perimeter following.
So the observed physical perimeter or the virtual perimeter, as the case may be.
So if you're following it in real time, it's going to try to do the same thing now, but following the left-hand perimeter rather than the right-hand. So that's the extra 3 minutes that you're going to give me, or for the left-hand following.
I'm using the Ron trick. I got the extra 3 minutes by doubling.
Yeah. I'm already done watching both.
Would you listen to Beethoven by doubling the speed?
Yes.
Dangerous question.
I know Ron would.
Well,
We have some rock music and some fireworks.
In defense of human sensors, doubling the video is not the same as doubling the audio.
So my commentary doesn't fit where you're watching. So I'll abstain.
Okay, well, raise your hand if you're still watching. Oh, 2, okay. 3.
That's interesting. So sometimes I see people looking frozen. What does that mean?
Means your network's slow. You're dropping frames. You're on Wi-Fi, maybe. I don't know.
Suddenly, people have a bunch of ticks going on.
Okay, is there anybody still watching? Raise your, okay, nobody's still watching. All right, well, thank you, David, for a second entry. Very nicely done. I think there's a lot of jealousy in the audience of wishing we could do that.
I'm thinking that perimeter following is pretty complicated. I'll get there eventually.
Yep. Okay, so now it comes time for the voting part. So let me make sure I have the list right before I turn the poll on. So it was David Anderson with RCAT Spins, David Anderson with RCAT Odometry, Doug Dodgen with Robbie, Jesse Brockmann with J Rover Max, and Carlock guy with HoverSim. Did I miss anyone? Okay, so here we go. I will launch the poll, and now is where
So we don't rank them as
building
1,
music
2,
polls.
3. We don't rank them as 1, 2, 3 or type thing.
Yeah,
No,
could we
just
do?
vote. If there's a tie, we'll have to sort it out. So I put the poll
Okay.
out there.
Okay. So we couldn't do 3 polls, 3 or oh well, never mind. I was going to say we could do our first, second, and third favorite. But okay.
Okay, so
we'll do that.
make this be the vote. Make this be the vote for the first place, and then I'll do another one for the second place.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I like that. That'll work.
Okay, I wasn't clever enough to think of that ahead of time. So this is the first place vote. All right. And then
Let's see. That's what I like. Okay. Okay, do we have to do it clear or, oh, there's another one down here. Okay. I see.
did everybody vote?
Yep.
Okay, and let's see. So here's the results. The results are Jesse wins first place. Congratulations, Jesse.
All right.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. Woo! Thank you.
Okay. So now comes the next little part. So this is freestyle second place. So
Okay. So we vote for somebody different. Okay.
yeah, I have to make a new poll. So real time, it just takes me a moment because I wasn't clever enough to think this through ahead of time. So I have to enter them in again. But I can remove, it'll be a shorter list because we know the first place winner.
Oh yeah.
So that's less to copy paste. That's good. Here we go. And the polls are open. Polls are open. Now it's time for a tough choice. Has everybody voted?
I'm working for it.
Dave
Okay.
walked away. I don't think he's voted yet.
I demand the recount.
Yeah. One of the lawyers. Supreme Court. 5, 10. Who voted twice? We have 14 votes in the first one. Okay, we have 9,
Can't vote twice.
13. No,
Not
I'm
even an
this
election this small, there's problems.
I think David Anderson got up before he voted on this second poll, so he's just the one you're missing.
He's the one, well.
They could figure he'd probably like his own robot. I would like my own robot. Oh, here he
David,
comes.
David A., last chance to vote before the polls close. I haven't checked the spreadsheet, so I don't know who has and hasn't voted, but David Anderson, did you vote yet? You're on mute. Got the nutcracker thing going on.
Hello.
No audio.
Oh, that's not true. I didn't think I could vote for my own robot.
I voted for my own.
David sounds like Max Headroom.
Even though mine might not let him
Okay.
get.
So here are the results. I think it doesn't matter, Mr. David, because you got second place with RCAT Odometry.
Hey.
Way to go, David. Okay. So then we have, and it is interesting how everybody zeroed in, or it tended to zero in on a similar thing somehow. Guess that's what voting's about, isn't it? So that leads us down to third place will be between RCAT Spins, Roby. Is it Roby or Robbie?
Roby.
Roby. All right, and HoverSim. Here we go. Save and launch. Place your bets now. Place your bets. Okay, we have 13 votes. Did anybody not vote yet? All right, then the results are woohoo, Hover Sim.
Yay.
Floppiest video, thank you for your votes. All right, so there we go. So that's our first competition. And we are, what, an hour and 15 minutes in. Might I propose a 5-minute bio break before we jump into our next segment?
Works for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
5-minute bio break. We'll catch you back shortly.
Okay.
Bio break. Good, cool, yeah. People got some cool robots. I should mute my microphone. Oh,
Hey, Carl, I had a question for you.
Sure.
I don't even know what the prize is.
Well, we will get to that at the end. We have a kind of a prize box thing. So what we normally do, Jesse, is we have a lot of sponsors and they'll contribute stuff. And in the physical times, it's normally just in this big tub at the maker space, and then we pull it out and sort it out at the last minute. But what we have for today, basically, while we wait for people to jump back in, is and I'll share a slide or two on this. But we have kind of a three-level system. So we have a prize box item group 1, prize box item group 2, and then a group 3, which is T-shirts or mugs or something. So, but we'll pull that up in just a minute or two after.
Okay.
After the competition. Are you able to stay to the end?
Yeah, I got 2 LFS entries as well. So
2 LFS entries. Okay.
LFS. Okay, good. Right. Thanks. Yeah, I need to pull that spreadsheet up here.
Oh yeah, Carl, did you get the YouTube links? I could always post YouTube links, though, I guess, as needed for the runs from my end here.
Well, we're going to try and do them anyhow.
Oh, try to do it live. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hopeful that could still work.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Carl, I did send you 2 links also in case you haven't checked your email since this started.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take that as the backup plan, but let's try the forward thing first and just.
Okay. Oh, one thing that might work for live, although I guess we don't want anybody to have to alter anything. That suggestion I made that possibly slowing the frame rate down in the main tab might help things. I'm not sure. I think the screen capture thing, oops, Carl's presenting there. The screen capture thing will probably just throttle it anyway, so it won't matter, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll find out. It solved my problem. David Anderson can't hear you again.
You can't hear me?
Now we can.
Are we going to run this in time warp?
I would say that depends. I think mine will run fast enough that we don't need time warp, but
yeah.
And I think Chris, I think you'll have to hold your eyes open because the blink and it's gone.
Yeah.
The way Chris's goes. So, all right. So let's raise your hand if you're not here. Yeah, that's a joke. So going through this, let's see, who are we missing still? We're missing Ray and Jesse's there, Kevin and Elaine. Okay. So, all right. I think we're all familiar with the line following simulation contest. We've been talking about this pretty much every week for months now. We have 3 levels, and the first is this basic course level. And the idea is we'll be using Ron Grant's simulator. And I have another poll just to get us started here. So the idea is let's just have a little whiteboard bet right on the side. So what's going to be the fastest time for the for this course? So let's see, where did that one go? The basic course. So the poll is open. Will the fastest time be between 4 and 5 minutes? So, or under 4 minutes, under 3 minutes, under 2 minutes, under 1 minute, or under 30 seconds? Place your votes now.
You really need an under 15-second item in here.
Oh, well, okay. There's none of that. But I do have the bah humbug. Nobody can do this, but that might become more useful later on. Okay, so we're still waiting on some votes. And this is kind of a measure of who's still awake, who's still online. All right. So we're almost there. We have 9 people voted. And despite Jesse's comments, there are remarkable votes going out here. Okay, so let's just move on. So now we can see that most people think it will be under 30 seconds. And with that in mind, let's go through and try them out. So let me make sure I have all the contestants first. I got Ron Grant with StepBot, John Shi with SuperBot, Doug with LFS Novice Pololu, and Jesse with Jesse J LFS1. Are there any other novice level entries for today?
I actually have 2 different entries that work completely differently. So
Okay, what's your second one? And I'll add you in the list.
it's just LFS2.
LFS2, all right. And you're going to run it in the novice as well?
Yes.
Okay, LFS1 and LFS2, all right.
Hey, guys, my simulation doesn't really work. I still want to show you guys something, but I think I just have to, I just show you like one course. Maybe that challenge course feels better.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, let's get there.
It's part of the deal, so everybody gets their chance.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna skip these the previous classes just to the challenge class.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine, right? I mean, even mine is fine-tuned for the challenge course, so I'm not even attempting any of the other courses, even though they're theoretically easier.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's just go in order of submissions. So, Ron Grant, would you like to try step plot?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It'll be Ron Bot, and it'll be the novice. And what I decided, I was going to write a custom controller. It ran out of time, so I'm just running my same controller on all 3 courses. But let's see if we can get this. Let's see. Screen 1. Whoops, not screen 1. Hang on one second. Okay, and I'll time warp this just so, but not by much. How about that? 20, that should be okay. And okay, we'll run. Okay, so 19.1 seconds is my run. Okay, and I'll report that. Did that show up okay?
Good job.
Or
It
would
was,
you-
it was a little quick. Your time warp, we really could have used it
Okay, for this
slower.
one, maybe that's okay. Yeah, let's try normal speed. How's that? Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. A time warp of
How do
maybe 2 or 3 might be good on the longer run. But yeah, this
How
is
do you do the plots?
what's that?
The little graph.
Oh yeah, I added that. Yeah, that's a little chart recorder that shows my error and what does it
We
show?
need that,
Well, speed
yeah.
and turn rate and error from line, and that's the error as noted
That's cool.
from the sensor to the line, not from the center of the robot to the line, which is fairly small from the robot center to the line.
Mhm.
Anyway, okay, that's
That's
that
awesome.
report, and I'll stop my presentation. Is that how we want to do it, or should I just run all my contests?
I think let's just go one at a time.
Okay,
No,
okay,
I'm-
good. I'll stop presenting just a sec here. And there we go.
All right. So next in line, we have Jean Shi. And I'm a little confused. Did you say that this was the one you're going to run in, Jean, or not?
Not this one. Wait
Not
for
this
the
one.
challenge
Okay. Then I think next in line would be Doug with
Okay,
Super Duper Bot.
Give me a second.
All right.
Is it me or
You.
Dodgen? Okay,
No,
me.
Doug P first.
Okay. All right.
Doug? Yeah.
Give me a second. I gotta get this all.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah, okay. Wait a minute.
Overwhelmed by icons.
My dad's desktop looks like that.
Okay. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see your processing
Okay.
thing there. Go ahead and run it.
All right.
All right.
That's pretty zippy.
All right, 14.8. Way to go.
Oh. Beat the course master.
Oh, the course. I'm just the guy that wrote the simulator. I figured I'm not the guy that writes good controllers. Excellent.
Got
Yeah,
it on your own.
it's really interesting. Ron, I want to take my hat off again to you because this pointed out several things to me that I was not really fully aware of. this robot is different from the one that's in the advanced course because to optimize it, the requirements were really different. I was just amazed at the differences that you had to make. But anyway, that's it.
Cool.
So let me unstop share.
Okay.
All right. Next in line is Jesse with LFS1.
All right, let me get her loaded up just a second.
All right. And I was going to say, maybe we go through a contest and then talk about what's unique about the controller if we want, and then go on to the next contest. I see some nods, so we'll do it that way.
Trying to think if I could speed mine up. Do I get another run? No, I'll go with my one run in the interest of time. I'll wait till next time to show you guys how it's really done.
How it's really done.
I should point out that my take on this was I wanted to build a robot that would be physically easy to do. And that is really using the Pololu sensor, that I think it's going to be one of the prizes, in fact.
Can we see my screen?
Yeah, looks good.
All right, here we go.
Zipping along.
Yeah, taking those turns at 12 inches a second plus. You may be faster, huh?
I'm seeing 21 up there, 26, 29,
All the way up to
36.
36, there you go. Oh, 18, okay.
Very nice, nicely done.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, now he's got something more wicked for another run.
Yeah, where's LFS2?
You want to see that now?
Yeah, we're just going to go down the list of. Yep.
Okay, I'll open that one next.
Okay.
That one was a standard PID controller.
Okay.
This one's something a little more exotic.
So how does that work? Does each person have one entry to qualify for a placement, or how does that work?
Well, I won the open, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not really eligible for another prize. So.
Well, no, your best robot would be the one I would assume that would be the one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just want to show both ideas because they're
you're
very
eligible.
different.
Yeah, you're eligible in a different category.
All right. Do I share my screen? Can you see it?
We can see it.
All right.
So what's different about this one?
This one is for speed.
Yeah, so
The other one,
go ahead.
The other one was a straight PID. This one is optimized per corner to give the most speed per corner. So it actually knows where it's at in the position. You see the XY position. So it actually knows where it's at on the course by taking the normal feedback that you get for the distance traveled and the heading. So it actually knows exactly where it's at on the course, and so it can change speed to optimize each corner for the fastest possible speed. So for every corner, it has a set speed that it travels.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. That was 15.4, and I think LFS1 was 18.
Yeah, 18.3.
18.3. And then Doug, I think for you, we had 18.8. And then Ron, you had 19 something.
Mine was
yeah, 19.1. Yeah, so, okay, again, as the way I see it, then Jesse has one entry, which is his 15.38.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is fine. Yeah,
okay. Because, I mean, the rationale would be there is you could take that 15.38 and just say, well, it's slightly different. He could win all three places that way.
Right.
See,
No, yeah.
No,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
interested in that.
No. Well, that's good. No, but you won for novice line following. You got
No, 14. Doug P had 14.3.
Doug took first place. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, yeah. Doug's first. Ah.
Yeah.
You're going to have to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
No, Doug doesn't count.
I'm going to have to, handle my inner Scott Gibson here if you guys just keep this up.
No.
14-3. I don't know where he found the extra I don't know where he found the extra second. It's gonna be. I gotta really try hard now.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well,
That's cool.
I can go over some things if you want to.
Yeah. So we have. Let's go in order of the wins. So we have Doug's controller, then Jesse's, then Ron's. So tell us what's interesting about your robots.
Okay, let me present it again.
Oh, Doug, Jesse, Ron. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm shutting up.
Doug first, then Jesse.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
He doesn't have to give up all his secrets.
Oh, it's okay. I'd rather see people get better and better. All right. So you see the course, right? Okay. The first thing that I see that Jesse did wrong was he put his robot here. All right. And well, it depends on what he's doing, but if he's doing it like I'm doing it, that's a bad spot. Mine's up here. The reason why mine is up here is because on a straightaway.
The acceleration. Gotcha. I already see what you're getting at.
Okay. So here, and the real thing is how close to the line you stay. Because if you start looking at like hundredths of a second, every time you step away from the line with an overshoot, you're wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in here, this guy is starting at my set start speed because he's right up here in the corner, and he's gonna adjust his speed based on that corner. Okay. When he comes over to here, he's gonna start speeding up. But because you're limited in the acceleration that you're going, which is, in hindsight, I suspect is not, we did not pick realistic values because I think the real robot, well, I don't know, maybe they are. But what I'm saying is, so what you would expect is this short one, you're not really fast enough yet to cause much overshoot. So this is not a real problem. Here is the tricky part of the course, right here, because you're going into two reflective angles. And so it's very easy to go like this or like that. So where the real trick is to maximize this straightaway and this straightaway by, because these here are really not really long enough for you to, you get some gain out of them. But now, what are the key factors? You see these little dots here? They're not in use. That was an experiment, didn't run. This is the sensor right here. The real key thing is if you're using this sensor, if you vary the line distance between the origin here and go up, you'll find a sweet spot. If you're too close, you'll follow the line closer, but you'll be slower. If you get to a certain point beyond this, you actually start to speed up again. Slow down again. And I think it's because you're wasting time on the line, but I'm not absolutely sure. So this distance to here parameter is very important. Now, I use their 31A sensor as a model. You don't really need 16A would have been fine. But so I think that and being able to take advantage of, if you're getting a series of zero error, you accelerate. You accelerate as fast as you could, which in this case was 36 inches per second. You can't really get there because of the acceleration limit on the contest, but you want to push it as close to that limit as you can. Anyway, those were the couple of things that I found on this robot that were really key. Anyway, and that's it.
Well, cool. Thank you. Very good. Any questions for Doug on his design or thoughts? Jesse, was there anything you wanted to highlight on yours?
Sure. I'll show both of them just because they do have some interesting parts. I will show. I'll start with LFS. So LFS one is simply a simple PID controller, but I do have a different PID controller for the corners and the straightaways. And I also have a PID controller for the speed, which accounts for the air. So that part is pretty standard. The main trick there is having a separate constants for the straightaway versus the corners. And then I do like the idea of starting in that corner. I didn't think about the initial acceleration. So there's definitely a little bit more there. And then basically I can detect if I'm in a straightaway or in a corner by looking at the difference of the initial front sensor versus the sensors in the back. So I can detect if it's a left turn or a right turn and that. So here's my sensor placements here. One as far up as was reasonable as that front sensor location really affects the gains of your PID controller. So the faster you go, the further out you want it, and it moves in as your speed decreases. But I have multiple sensors, so if this front sensor goes off the line, I have these other sensors to act as backups, so that I can, and then I determine the direction by calculating the distance from the first one to the second one, the difference in the air, and that gives me an angle to let me know if it's a left turn or straightaway or right turn. So then that's how the controller knows if it's what to use the straightaway or the corner gains. So that's really all that this one is. It's really a classic PID solution, and it's a generic solution that would work for any course. LFS2, on the other hand, is a very different animal.
So that one, I forgot to ask Doug, but your LFS1 is what, about 1,000 lines of code?
No, it's about maybe 100.
100. I can't see. Okay.
Not even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not counting like just for the drawing stuff and that. So it's not. The other one is much bigger, so I'll open that one.
Yeah, I'm curious about complexity on some of these.
So LFS2, where'd it go? It's a different window. Just a second. I have to reshare it. So LFS2 is where things start to get tricky and our code goes way up. Here I actually have a text file which has the waypoint for the course, so it knows when a corner is coming up. So I can read actually the waypoints from this file. The way it works is it runs the course really slowly to detect the position of each corner, and then it uses that. And each corner has optimized speed. So for each corner, it figures out the fastest it can go for that corner and stay on the course within a certain level of air. Then I use the smallest time step because the more chances you get to make a calculation, the better. So if you're gonna do this, you pretty much always wanna run at 0.1 seconds. That's my opinion, of course. And then I have the same, if it's not a scan run, I have hard-coded gains for the corners and the straightaway. This one doesn't have a speed controller because it's optimized per corner. And then, and here I have my point of interest class, and it tells me what the point of interest is. Is it a corner or straightaway? Is it a left turn or right turn? The speed for that section. And then I haven't implemented yet, but I can even have separate gains per corner. So I could create a algorithm to go through all the different possible gain and speed combinations to give it the fastest possible answer. So I could take advantage of MPC and simulation to do thousands of runs to come up with the optimal gains for every single part of the course. And then I have, this is the big thing. We were dictated exactly how to recreate the position of the bot given the speed and the turn rate. So with 100% accuracy, I'm able to recalculate the X and Y position of the bot with no error.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
It was spelled out. It was spelled out in such great detail. It didn't take me long to have that working, and it's identical to the simulator I wrote as well for getting the position. And then the rest of it is very similar to the first one, except the speed comes from the point of interest instead of from the controller.
Cool, thanks. All right.
Yeah, very good.
Ron, was there something you wanted to show about yours, or should we move on to?
Well, what Jesse did is very good. Okay, so you do have access to the instantaneous turn rate and speed. Originally, I harvested the entire robot class and was using that for minimal. I just do a little minimal odometry, but that's exactly right. In fact, I did the same thing. Rather than harvest the whole class, every time step, you can take advantage of the fact that LFS is ramping up and down speeds, and you don't need to redo those calculations. You can just ask it for the time step, you know, what here I'll present, I guess, but it's, well, he showed it, so it's the same idea.
Cool.
So that really, when you know it's taking care of the ramping, that's, you know, so you just ask it, how fast are we going and how fast are we turning? And so he integrated that information and got his XY and heading. And the thing that I will say, I guess going forward, is the thought is you'll still be able to do that, but the robot's going to have some random or fixed, like, differential error or whatever. So you won't be able to rely, at least this is the proposal in the future, rely on perfect odometry, but you can still do your internal odometry and you know, come close, but you couldn't run the whole course. But that's for the future. But anyway, very good. Yeah, and the same things I'd say. I'm just running my generic controller on all these because I managed to run out of time or whatever to play with custom. But the idea of low error, accelerate potentially to the max speed, and the only thing that might be tricky is how far you need to look ahead, which is, I'd say, almost a foot, just depends. But that's really available, and maybe that'll be for the next rendition of the thing. We won't make many changes, but maybe, in fact, now you can actually put sensors outside of the field of view. Originally, when I wrote the simulator, I was using the GPU image that you see on the screen, actually the bigger one if you tab to it. But now, really, the sensor readings are allowed to come from outside that visible area. And the cool thing about that is, by looking a little further ahead, you will be able to appropriately judge features far enough in advance, if no one's doing that now. Anyway, that's my all I got to say.
Are you gonna limit the size of the sensor?
Well, that's the to be determined. Yeah, because right now I think the loophole is you could scan the entire course.
Exactly.
But I'm thinking it might be nice that we come up with some reasonable limit that's more compatible with, let's say, a video camera mounted, you know, on a robot that can't look, you know, too far ahead. Something reasonable, and maybe an opportunity to go over ideas of setting maybe a faster rotational acceleration, things like that. But that's to be talked about later.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's the novice course, and we had again, what was the placings? We had Doug first at 14.8, Jesse at 15.4, and Ron at 19.1. So
Great.
Moving on to advanced, we have Ron with NovaBot, and John, I missed. Was this one you were in, or just the challenge?
Just the challenge.
Okay, just the challenge. So we have one entry for the advanced, and Ron, take it away.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I've got an entry too.
Oh, okay.
You
Doug's
do?
got
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it wasn't.
I have I didn't enter it, but I have an entry as well.
Okay. So,
Cool.
so
Who
we have
wants to go
Ron,
first?
Jesse, and Doug. So let's go Ron first, then we'll do Doug, then Jesse. How's that?
Okay. Gee, maybe I should, whoops, let's see. Okay, maybe I should try to tune my robot. Okay, but I'll do my run. And again, this is my standard controller. And what I'll do is I'm doing just a minimal time warp, just to speed things up a bit. I think time warp of 3. Okay, so let's run this puppy. So if that's okay with everybody, we'll get through this a little faster. I don't know what my run time is on this. We'll find out, I guess. 30 seconds, something. Okay, 31.99.
31.99, Ron. Way to go.
Woo.
Okay, and I'll quit presenting.
Cool. All right. So Doug, what you got?
Okay, give me a second. Present. Sorry guys, I was sleeping at the switch.
I think that's it. Time's up. Doug loses.
Ron. Okay.
Here, let me count for you, Doug. 10, 9, 8.
Book. Advanced. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. It seems to be. Let me try again.
It's missing.
It was throwing some error messages, I think.
The dog ate it.
Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. I think I was trying to open something that was already open.
Yeah, that's could be it.
Okay. You see the course?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, you're going the other way. Wasn't sure which way you're supposed to go on this course.
I think either way.
Yeah.
Nice and clean run.
Yeah. And at least he took longer than 31.99 seconds. Nice run, Doug.
43.35. Very nice.
You didn't leave any spread on the course.
Okay.
All right. Very good, Doug. And then Jesse, which one are you going to run?
It's LFS 3, you know.
Oh, LFS 3. All right.
Yeah. See it?
Coming up. There it is.
So this is the exact same control algorithm as my first one. I just created this yesterday, so it's not going to be as fast, but it's the same exact algorithm with different gain. So here we go. This is like with 2 hours of coding, so you have to.
Yeah. So Jesse, with your approach on this, can you start the robot at any point in the course, or does it have to start there in V8?
This one is a generic approach, but my other approach where I know each corner, then as long as you know which corner you're at, then it wouldn't matter where you start. It would work the same. So my idea long term is just to create an MPC, and for every single position on the whole course, figure out the command and throttle rate that's best for it, and basically optimize it completely by just keep running how many ever millions of times it has to come up with the fastest way.
All right.
But
Very
there
good.
we go.
56
seconds.
56 seconds for Jesse. Way to go. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that brings us to Ron in first place, 31.99. Doug, 43.359. And Jesse with 56. Woohoo. Okay, way to go. And that takes us to the challenge course. Oh boy. So the challenge course, I forgot the advanced poll, but the challenge course, as we all know, has its certain shape. For those that don't know what it is, I'll pull it up here briefly. I forgot this in the last one.
Are we going to have any smack talking before we start?
It's been going
By the
on.
way, I had a
Go ahead.
suggestion for the future.
What's that?
Don't release the course till the competition starts. So come up with a new course and don't release it to the day of the competition so that people can't spend forever optimizing their controller for a specific course.
Yeah, one of the possibilities is I wrote a tool that will generate a course. And my thinking is we could have several, to make it fairly easy, we could have several tiles that would have several random options. So we could have maybe 10 of the tiles or so. To completely generate a course on the fly would be a little tricky, which is somebody's welcome to go after that. But we could generate a course definitely with 10 to 20 random tiles that would be, you know, it might be a whatever, a different offsets or different shapes and so forth that are compatible with one another, square turn versus round turn, etc. So maybe I'd come up with something and we'll see, does that look like?
I think one other idea too would be to simply have the starting position random.
Right.
That would, you know, if somebody's just mapping the course, if they're just mapping the course, that's going to blow them away.
Right.
Okay, let's vote on the speed, guys. We have 3 votes in. We need a few more votes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yep. How is this?
How fast are we going to do this course? Is it going to be under 30 seconds? Under 4 minutes? Under 5? Place your bet.
I didn't hear any smack talking, but I did see Chris grinning maniacally.
He knows he's got it.
Evil. He's started off. He's just thrown the gauntlet down, and yeah.
Yeah, of course. But here's the thing: if you want me to vote now, you're gonna pretty much know what my time's gonna be. So I'm not going to.
No, don't do it.
I'm not going to select the under 30 seconds because then it would spoil the surprise, you know?
If you got it under 30 seconds.
Yeah, so Chris is the only one who's going to have the time warp that slows it down, basically. That's the Chris version of time warp.
He figured out how to rework the timer. Adam, anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to check his gains and turn rates if he's going that fast.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there's the votes. We have a lot of people voting for under 2 minutes, and we have a couple under 4 or 3. So we got quite the spread on this one. It's going to be interesting. So I'm just going to go in order of the submissions from the spreadsheet. Let me make sure I have them all listed here. We have Ron Grant with Sidewinder. Then we have.
Okay, it's once again, it's just Ron Bot.
Ron
Scrap
okay.
side. Yeah, I was gonna do a robot that also had sideways motion, but I skipped that.
Okay.
If I could make a quick suggestion.
What's that?
Hold Chris for last. Just so, if I could suggest we hold Chris for last, just so it builds the tension.
Chris, are you good with that?
I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, he's probably. I got the suspicion. I think I would have been a really good contender, but the last few days I've been just cooked, and I had to do some real work too. Maybe that's messed me up, you know. So I was cooked, and but I'm a little better at Blender. I'm now at the level of an 11-year-old, typical 11-year-old Blender. So anyway, go ahead.
Let's make sure. So we got Ron Grant will go first, and then Jean, and then I have one, and then Chris. Is there anyone else that's going to do the challenge course? All right. So we've got four.
Oh, and we will have Will. He only does, but he only can complete half of it. So.
Okay. So we'll
I
put
can
him
run
in.
his. I can run his robot too.
Okay. We'll put him in after Jean.
Okay.
Okay. So Ron, why don't you go ahead with Ronbot?
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'll drop it on the start line, and I have just a time warp factor of 3. Should make it quite watchable. Let me know if I need to slow it down. It's your choice.
Well, that's pretty watchable.
Okay.
Now Chris is looking intently at the intersection
Wow,
time.
this is well, that's
Oh,
could be
he's
tight.
in the running, Chris. And it's clean.
Oh wow,
Fairly clean. Oh wow, Chris.
not bad.
Boy, oh boy. Oh, this is going to be difficult.
Ooh,
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Ron,
gotta be a
way to
close
go.
one. It's gotta be a close one.
Oh
He's got me beat.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Ron has one.
Wow.
We have to watch the numbers on this one. It's 1.08.09 for
Okay.
Ron.
And I'll stop presenting. There we
Good
go.
job, Ron.
1.08. That's awesome. All right. Lots of claps for that Ron guy. All
I
right.
think
So
we should
Ron,
just,
oh, go ahead.
I think we should just run them in real time.
Oh, well, okay.
It only takes a little longer, and it's more like we're at a real contest.
Yeah.
Well, where is it too choppy? It's up. Well, we can come back to me if we need to.
All right.
Okay.
Like I told you guys, it doesn't it doesn't work, but I'll just show it since I worked on it. I told you guys about it anyway.
That's good of you, really, because it's all of us have been there, so it's great that you're showing us.
Yeah. Show the well. It is my work anyway. So.
It'll humiliate you into going greater places. Go ahead.
All right. Don't be surprised. And that's it.
Mr. Mine did it first. That's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys
Yay.
what I'm trying to do here, but yeah, see how straight the line is. Maybe
Yeah,
focus on
that's
that.
very good.
There's the starting line.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job.
Okay,
Hey.
so that was 3 seconds, and it made it to the which waypoint? It made it to F12.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so next in line would be Will K.
Oh, okay. So I'll need to load his. Okay, let me hang on. I'll present, and then I'll get the. I'll have to load his sketch here, and let's see. Okay, okay. So now we get rid of me. And now Will's robot does run pretty slow, but
it's unique. Let's watch it.
Okay. Yeah, and if he hadn't have been burned out, he would have gotten through this. Okay, and I take it he's not online right now. Anyway, and Will did provide this controller for people to look at up front. Okay, here we go. Run contest. Yeah, his interest, speaking for him, was really to create his real robot uses a line sensor right at the center of the wheels. So that's just like his real robot, and he added sensors that were pretty much compatible with what he figured he would add to his real robot. And that was his interest in running this, in the simulator. And I think, let's see, between him and Dave Ackley, it sort of motivated this to move forward from my original 3D rendition. And I think I might return to that 3D rendition. But I do like this, especially since it can be time warped, easily sped up. But Will is looking at, I think as most of us, the special patterns. He identifies individual patterns, and then in some cases runs kind of like a canned cycle. He's not spying any odometry as far as I know. So I'm not sure exactly how he's doing his canned turns when he does them. But I believe like the acute angle was canned, and I believe this notch might be canned.
He's making good progress.
Yeah, and then this is when Will got burned out.
Yeah.
And so what happened right here, and in all truth, I bet you his robot would complete probably most everything except for the, so I'll end this run.
2.08, all right, and it was F3.
Yeah, he made it to F3. Okay, cool. Way to go, Will.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
Okay, wait a minute. Now I'm trying to see if I can, sorry, I'm going to get rid of this. Wait a minute. Stop sharing. There we go.
All right. Okay, let's hear it for Will. Whoa.
Yay.
All right. Okay.
Good
So
job,
now,
Will.
next guy in line. There's that Chris smirkiness. That smirk is really getting,
Smirky Chris.
that's really getting to be troublesome.
All right.
All right. And then what I've learned is that I'm going to have to turn the camera off or it just doesn't run correctly. So I'm going to stop. So you should be able to see my screen, but not see my face now. All right. Now we have our choice of skins. Do we run the trash bot or the wheel bot? The trash bot or mechanical wheel?
Ooh, Carl gets extra points for figuring out how to use Ron's hacked GUI or whatever UI.
Your screen share stopped there, Carl.
Yeah.
What? My screen share stopped?
Maybe I
Yep.
talked over you.
Is it sharing now?
No.
No.
Really?
Maybe stop it and restart it.
Oh my goodness. All right.
The skin change doesn't work.
Let me, that's great. I might have clicked the wrong thing. You think I'd learn how to drive a computer by now, but.
While Carl's getting started, I think I can probably run this contest course backwards. Maybe.
No, oh, there's the smack talk. Okay. So
That would be
Get your
interesting.
eyes closed, right?
So just for the record, I can run the course backward, actually sideways, either way as well, by the way.
Sideways.
If you'd like to see that, I will do that after this first one. Okay, here we go. So what I don't have in speed, I can make up for in versatility. Are we ready? Start your clocks. Boom. I like the stopwatch in the background.
All right.
See how it changes directions?
Oh.
Wow.
It doesn't care which way it's going. Well, it does, but, and boy, did that take a lot of code to get that.
Wow, Carl. Wow.
Is that just the
Nothing's
neatest thing?
professional. I like all the messages too.
And the
Nothing's
timing's not bad. The messages were useful when you're going slower, but.
kicking.
It's pretty fast. So did you end up pulling an all-nighter?
Wow, man.
Was it one or multiple? I hope you're shivering, Chris. I really hope you're shivering because it's going to be really tight.
Oh, man.
Let's do it again, but this time it was sideways, right? We started sideways.
Hey, now, Carl.
What was your time?
I think Carl's is like.
The lap timer's in the bottom here, 1 minute 8 seconds. So I was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Second behind Ron.
Time is wrong, right? What
I wasn't doing the darn
beat me.
I would have walloped this.
No, wait a minute. 108.299.
Yeah.
I beat him.
I think Chris can get under a minute. I can definitely get under. I think the real target next time will be 45 seconds. I guarantee you,
Okay.
with the current settings, you can
That's
hit 45
smoking,
seconds.
Carl. That's
The
scary.
question is, how are you? You have to modify the engine to do this, right?
Absolutely
No.
not.
No, it's
Absolutely not. That thing, that's the craziest thing I found, and we can get into this later, but it doesn't accelerate very well in the turns, so but it can accelerate like crazy in linear.
But yeah, the
Clever. Okay,
simulator
got it.
supports sideways speed.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Wow, okay, that's-
And now the third
That's
one,
very-
just for friends. Oh, there, see, the second one, like, just for the record, it was 108, 130, but you'll see here, it starts to screw up. So I don't know what it is, but David's chaos theory, it catches itself here. All right.
Oh.
And it starts to look pretty cool. but at some point there's a place here where I know how to make it more stable, and I just didn't have enough time.
It's like you're accumulating air the farther you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I don't use odometry at all. There's zero odometry in here. Zero.
Okay. I use a little minimal, like almost nothing.
Here's where it says boom. So anyhow, if you'll permit me, I'd like to take the second lap at 1.08.130.
So you're using a tic-tac-toe sensor pattern?
Oh yeah, I am.
Oh, did he even show us what he was using?
I did. I was being generous. But now
Oh, I see. Okay.
it's frozen.
Well, you're not looking very far
In
from the
contest
robot
mode.
either.
No, that's the thing. So, and we can get into the design stuff later, but basically, and it's a little easier to see. I mean, this is to scale. So that video I showed you earlier of the robot, that's the size of this icon. And these are the Pololu high density 31 element sensors.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, the advantage there is you gain advantage by, of course, using sideways acceleration. Really, the ultimate with this current setup would be to, implement both forward turning and sideways motion.
That is, very clever.
Yeah.
I can demo some more later, but there's this Chris guy waiting to show us how it's done, Ron. So
yeah,
we need to give Chris his day in the sun. And then we can talk about the designs of these things.
Yeah, I noticed he's smirking back there.
He is the guy. He's pulling it over on us somehow.
All right, my turn?
Your turn.
Okay, so so you said it works better if I turn the camera off, so let me do that. My
What I
laptop.
found is a camera off,
Yeah.
then launch processing and share your screen.
Yeah, my laptop's a little bogged down anyway, so actually mine's running at 30 frames per second. So all right, I'm gonna share this screen there. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
It is coming up. There we are.
Yep.
Fancy sensors.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
look at that.
yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute, but so let's run, and I may kick it into time warp in between, or maybe not. Again, I'm running it. Well, you can see right there. I've told it to run at 30 frames per second, just because my laptop's a little long in the tooth, and it can't even manage the 30 frames per second. So
What's your time step? 100th of a second?
no, actually, the original 160th
160th.
default.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I decided, I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to change it. Okay, so I think it's ready to go. It's at the marker already. I set it up that way. So let's hit that button. Okay. I'm going to hit it into time warp in between. Again, it's running at kind of half real time.
You're hitting 20 in the curves. That's impressive.
Yeah, let it go. Let's see what he's doing. Yeah, that is impressive.
16 seconds there. That's
Like I said on the Tuesday meetings, it works 9 out of 10 times. So let's hope that it makes it all the way
Pretty
through.
amazing velocity for that whatever you call the chopped sawtooth.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. Wow.
Well,
Oh,
I've seen
yours
a
is
lot of advantages from having the sensors so far out as well as close in, but
Yeah, wow. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
yeah, we're smoked, Ron. He's toasted.
Yeah, but still doing a pretty good job on those 90s. Let's see how fast you're taking those. Oh, yeah, not bad.
A little round in the corners.
Yeah, it's not looking too good, is it? He's
Oh,
got
he's
it.
going to do it. He's under a minute. He's under a minute. I voted for under a minute.
God, how
Whoa,
disgusting.
52 seconds.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
That's phenomenal. Oh my goodness.
Fantastic. Well, you know, it's a really tight race here. I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know. What do you? Chris kind of. We still got Doug. Is Doug going?
No, not
No
this time.
entry. Okay, just the. Okay.
The three of us.
Three of us.
The places
Wow.
are determined. It's Chris, Ron, and then that Carl guy, Slackard. And then top three. All right. Oh-hoo. So do we want to spend some time and walk through the kind of talk about how we did it?
Chris, tell us about your, looks like you've made a TV camera here out of multiple sensors. Tell
Yeah.
us about your.
There's a lot of dead, actually, if you want to look at my code, there's actually a lot of dead code there because I tried so many different things. And even the sensors, honestly, most of them I'm not using. I'll tell you that 90% of the time, the robot's looking at exactly two sensors. It's this forward-facing arc sensor that's labeled sensor 1, and this one in the back here labeled sensor 2. So 90% of the time, I'm looking at those two sensors, and I'm executing this particular control logic here that I've highlighted. You know, I have a state machine, and occasionally I have to go into different logic, but literally 90% of the time, I'm executing this logic. And it covers basically, it traverses the 90-degree right angles. You know, the only thing it doesn't cover, let's put it that way, is the acute angle and that gap, okay, that requires special handling. All the other situations still fall within what this logic can do with some caveats, and that's why there's parameters getting passed in. But I think the secret sauce here really is when I said that I look at those two sensors, right, and that's what I'm passing in here into this function. That forward-facing, that arc, that's where I'm calculating my first error value. Okay, I'm basically saying, well, this is where I see the line center. How far away is it from the theoretical center of the line? And I haven't really played around with the number of spots there. I think I'm using 41, but you know, I didn't want to hard code it here. So I'm calculating how far off the actual theoretical center I am. That gives me an error value. And then if I've passed in the second sensor structure, then I'm calculating a second error, right? Which, if you look at what this is doing, it's basically just saying, well, okay, it's basically saying, well, are you sort of more or less parallel to the line, or are you actually sitting on top of the line, you know, at some angle, right? Because I'm looking at where my first sensor sees the line and where my second behind sensor sees the line, and if there's a difference between the two, right, that means I'm kind of on the line perhaps, but not parallel, right? And I'm incorporating that into my, you know, ultimately when I calculate the turn rate, right? I first calculate it as a function of my first error and some tunable parameter, but then I'm tweaking the turn rate based on that second error, and you know, I think that's part of what allows me to go sort of extra fast. Of course, I do have to slow down, right? I'm making the speed a function of my turn rate, right? When I've calculated a high turn rate, well, at the same time I'm slowing down a bit, which I think most of us are doing, and I'm doing that with some other, you know, some other parameter. Now, in the end, it turned out this parameterization of this basic logic was quite useful, because there are a lot of situations on the course where what I end up doing, I just set these parameters C1, C2, and C3 to different values. Okay, the basic logic still works, but I'm basically saying, well, okay, maybe I don't want to steer as hard, right? If I'm in this S curve, like the choppy S or something, basically I still want to do sort of the same logic, just use a different sort of coefficient here. And maybe I don't even want to look at the line in the back, so I'm passing in a null here, right? But that's how basically 90% of the time my turn rate and speed are coming out of this function. But there's a ton of code outside of it, right? That is obviously necessary to tell me, well, where is the center of the line? Where do I think the center of the line is? And so I have a ton of code there, looking at edges and all kinds of stuff. And this logic, the piece that's missing then, right, is kind of, and that's where in the end spend up the bulk of the time, is how to figure out when I've reached sort of one of these special places. And that's where I tried a number of different things. And I have to admit, in the end, I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do it odometry, because all that feature detection that I was trying didn't work too well. I mean, it worked for the acute angle, it worked for the intersection I was able to detect. And that's where some of the extra sensors come into the picture, right? They come into the picture to detect, okay, I've reached that acute angle. I'm looking at some of the other sensors, but not really all of them ever. So I should really delete some of these sensors as part of a cleanup, a roundup cleanup. But that feature detection to tell me when I've reached the acute angle or when I've reached the intersection, it wasn't working well enough to tell me, okay, when have I reached, let's say, one of those choppy S bends, right? And then I had to say, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do odometry. I was trying to stay away from it, trying to make it as generic as possible. But then in the end, I said, okay, you know what? Let's just do odometry. And then I have sort of a little function that tells me, you know what? That if I'm near some location, right, with some sort of degree of error here, with some margin of error, because the odometry is actually not 100% accurate. It doesn't drift. It doesn't look like it's drifting, but it was never really spot on for some reason, and it didn't really matter. I give it a 2-inch sort of margin of error. So if I'm near this location, it's telling me my microphone has a problem. Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm near this location, all right, then see, then I tweak some of these parameters that I was talking about earlier in my core logic. I just say, you know what? Okay, let's just set the max speed to something slower for starters, right? And let's tweak some of these other parameters that determine the amount of turn rate, right? I just trial and error. I tweaked those, basically pick different values here to sort of be less aggressive for the most part, right? And that's how in the end I get through some of those sort of more difficult situations. And then in the gate, when I reached the gate, I think I mentioned that on Tuesday, I ended up just reusing again the core logic, but I have to sort of override what I think the center of the line is, because if I see multiple lines and I'm at the gate, I gotta pick the line that's the one from the right, not the one from the left. And that's how in the end I found, that core logic, really covers 90% of it. And I just had to find a good way of determining, when have I reached a difficult spot, and then what are the better set of parameters to use, to get through that difficult spot. And then once I'm through the difficult spot, and you can see that here, okay, this would be an example where we are coming out of some difficult spot, one of those S curves probably. I'm putting everything back at max speed and my default sort of aggressive turn rate sort of parameters, because once I'm through the hard spot, just go full tilt again until you reach another hard spot. So that's kind of the gist of it. But it took me a while to sort of realize, what, odometry is just the easiest in this case. Again, I was experimenting a lot with all kinds of ways to detect those spots based on features and edges that my different sensors are seeing. It just wasn't reliable enough.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Wow.
Clever. And that's only like 1,000, 1,500 lines of code.
Yeah, I'd have to remove some of the dead code. I mean, including some of the dead code, it's you know, some
878.
880 lines of code, but there's
Very efficient.
probably at least 100 lines of dead code in there. Yeah, and some of it just for visualization, right? I do a lot with the
comments.
Yeah, I draw my center of the line. I highlight all my edges. Again, I was at some point planning to use all that edge information a lot more. And I'm using it to some extent, just not as much as I was initially planning to.
Nice. Very cool. Thanks.
All right.
Mr. Ron, did you want to say some things about your approach?
I guess I have a few things I can say, but anyway, let's see. Let me present. Okay. I guess I added some extra little goodies, not that they were that helpful. And I guess those would be things I'd include in maybe the next release. The chart recorder was somewhat helpful, but let's see, what else do we have that's of use? I guess I went with a fairly simple pattern recognition methodology. And I think what I was doing is based on my sensors. Let's see if I can find that code. Whoops, as I modify the program. Let's see. Yeah, so I came up with these different patterns and things like stain and acute and so forth. And anyway, and then I have a method in here, I guess, that takes care of determining those patterns. And mainly the method I used, maybe it's not the best for recognizing patterns, was generally speaking things like numbers of intersections with the sensor, and also in some cases, if a distant sensor was experiencing a different separation between line intersections and that sort of thing. Anyway, it comes up with all these patterns, and then in some cases, what I do is rather than the pattern being an instantaneous recognition, I did create a class where I sort of integrate the hits on those. So it thinks it's an acute, and I go ahead and call this class where it actually tallies things up. In fact, in my init, let's see, I can, if I make it not a lap course, wait a minute, if I get rid of lap and make it just a regular course, it turns out the lap timer, I obscure my information, but I'll just for fun kind of show that. So what you'll see here is I have my counts on the feature. So when I run the I'll just run it as a go. But you can see here I have things like recognizing when there's a clear path, where it was decided that it had an acute, but it was false acute, things like that. And anyway, it allows me to see a total count for the whole course, so that I can pick up on, gee whiz, it thought it saw a gate 800 times. Maybe I need to go in and look at that pattern logic to see how it's doing. So anyway, that was probably one of the biggest things that I was playing with pattern recognition. But I must say that I do look at error on straightaways and say, okay, speed up on a straightaway. But I think Chris's ability to look a little more at the line intersections and in the future and where the robot center is, I think that's pretty interesting. I'm really kind of interested in that. And also really in playing with what's the possibilities, how fast can I wind into a turn and so forth, just to try to discover what the actual optimum would be. But again, I didn't pursue that. I burned out. So I thought, well, I know Chris is probably going to win this thing, but anyway, so let it be. Oh, let's see if this thing will run backwards just for fun. It won't necessarily, whoops, let's see, I need to get a decent heading here. Let's see. Oh, Ron doesn't know how to use his own program. Wait a minute. Here we go. Let's see. So here we'll see it run backwards. It may fall apart. I probably should set, let me just set one of my parameters just slightly more.
See, you say it's running backwards, but the robot's running forwards. So is it really backwards?
Oh, running the contest course the opposite direction.
You can run it backwards with the robot running backwards. No, that's what I want to see.
Oh, okay. Or sideways all the way. Anyway, but here we can see that at least, yeah, I didn't give you a canned movie or whatever. Well, presumably not. Maybe this is canned movie. But anyway, I did go with a gain parameter that more or less modulates my max speed and so forth. And I think whether I used it or not, I did use one area where I decided about 20 odd seconds in that I was going to run a little more conservative because the robot's nervous, but I think I actually can run that with that disabled, and I don't think it affects my time any great amount. So anyway, looks like we're making it.
You are.
I don't know what'll happen with the gate. It might decide it's an acute angle. We'll see. It should. Oh no, it actually made it through. Okay, there it is. Bingo. Nice. Anyway, okay, that's my story. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can remember what I did or whatever.
No questions?
Okay, and I'll stop.
All right, cool. All right. Anybody interested to hear from me at all?
Yeah.
Give a
yeah.
quick,
yeah, Carl. Yeah. You're the odd one.
I'm the really odd one. All right. So surprisingly, though, Ron, if you look at the code, there's some similar structures that I have in there to what you did actually. But let's start with the sensors. So briefly, like I mentioned, these are modeling Pololu, the 31 element things, and except I don't think they'd overlay quite like that. So you'd want to do a layout. I probably use a camera, but it does fit nicely, I think, underneath the chassis. And what I have is, as you can see, is something that can understand just lines, and it can actually, it's not very discriminate. It can take even small lines as well as wide ones, if you want. Then let's see. What I noticed was that for this thing, that it really helps to be able to keep it as well aligned with the line at any given time. So like, let's say it's offset, and let's say I turn off forward motion and the turning motion. So the way I have it set up, I was really careful to try and tune the PID loops so that it would just snap to the line pretty quickly. And with the critically damped thing, it would just snap. And I did the same thing for the turning. So if we leave the forward motion off, so it just pretty quickly gets itself aligned with the line wherever it is. And once I had that in place, then it came down to a pretty similar, well, then there's one other complicating factor, which is I had to keep track of the orientation. So for this robot, which orientation is front or back or left or right at any given time, because I can, for example, where's the easy place to do it? Like, I'll just do it from the start. So I have to turn the motors on. But if I just go forwards, I can stop it and I can say no, go backwards. And it'll just back itself up. Right? Or I can put it down here and I can say the right-hand side of the robot is front right now. And I can say, oh no, I want the left to be the front side of the robot. So, and you can even change that midstream if you want. So we'll just, no, I'm confused. What orientation it's in. So we're going to go, it's lost. So it's not perfect. We'll back it up here. So we'll go forward again. Oops. There we go. Left. Right. So I can just change direction at any given time. And that was kind of fun, but that took, I got to say, that added a lot of complexity to things. A lot of complexity to make that work. And it was mind numbing. But I have these, just like you have, Ron, I think, very similar things where I detect the gap, or then I'd have a state where I would get past the gap, or a jog, or get past the jog.
Yeah.
So after that, it's just large amounts of really verbose code to handle it all.
How do you detect, the special cases?
The special cases. So let's pick one. So I have a special case. That's the move classifier. That's the orientation map. Where's the special case detector class? And then it has learn Java along the way, but read move classifier. I guess it's in here. Yeah. So so I had, like, let's take the left jog. So for me, that's a simple case because I figured I got the current orientation of the robot. So whichever side of it is front at any given time, if the front sensor had 1 or less than 1 lines and the back had 1 or less than 1 lines, and if the heading error was less than 11.5, which is a scaled degrees measure actually, and if the current state is nothing special, then that's the condition for it looks like a left jog. And what that looks like on here is like this. So that's a right jog, right? So there's a 1 over here, there's 1 there. The heading error is, well, it's big at the moment. No, it just declared it, get past right jog. But that's how I would basically use that mechanism. But the thing is that I had a look ahead and I had a look behind. So like the 90s are the worst case. So like the 90s said if the where's it? Get past, continue. Here's the left jog again. So like if it looked like the left jog, and the last history, in this case 2 samples, was a left jog, and if there's no background transition from black and white to black, if there's none of that, and if it looked clean, the sensors looked clean looking ahead, so there's not too much noise on them, and if the recent history was like looking 10 back was nothing special, then we'll declare that we're going to move to the get past left jog, and we'll declare a special case of get past left jog. And then there was another state detector up here, get past left jog somewhere. So then this would say that if we're in the left jog state, then actually somewhere up in there it turns the heading error to 0, or it turns the sideways velocity, the rotation velocity to 0. So in a jog, on this, it can only move sideways and forward. It doesn't turn because the turning screws up the sensors. So it just looks for, again, if it's currently in a left jog, if it was recently like 21 times in a left jog, if the sideways error is getting low, and if it looking forward, if there's at least 3 cases of nothing special coming, and if there's exactly 1 line visible front and back, then we declare nothing special and we move on to the normal world. So there's a whole bunch of states and state transitions, and some of it's pretty robust and some of it is hairy edge, really velocity sensitive, because you change the velocity, you change the sampling rate, then you watch David Anderson smile because he knows what's going on in here and how messy it is. But the cool thing is that it's relatively robust. I mean, I can start in pretty much any location, in pretty much any orientation. I can just put it down here, watch it prove me wrong. I can say, let's declare the right side of the robot is forward, and turn the controller back on, and it picked it up. So, and then it gets to F3, F4, which is usually a fail point. So the right angles are still a problem, but and there's other things that are still a problem, but it's pretty robust.
So now you're going to try that on your real Mecanum wheel robot?
You know, if I did this on the real one, I wouldn't want to do all this. It's like 124 A to D lines, right? So I don't want to make a custom board and solder that all up. So I'm thinking very seriously of putting a camera underneath And yes, trying the same thing on the real one with a
You
camera.
gotta be too close to the ground, right? I mean, unless you're gonna have some special optics there, how
Well,
are you gonna?
Cut a big hole in your robot.
Put a fisheye lens on it, and I don't care about the barrel correction, because if these lines get curved, so what?
Well, can you make a big empty space? That's kind of what Will has, a big hole in his robot.
Yeah, well, I think it would take a little larger frame than the current one, but yeah, I think it should be doable.
Wow.
Why not?
A ring light to that camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the video camera.
That's the other thing, right? So like these robots, you can count on threshold detection being absolute, right? You don't have to worry about lighting conditions, adapting to the current whatever. So the simulator lets you cheat a bit that way.
Carl, did you look at the digital ones? The digital ones seems like they can be very slow, like up to 2 milliseconds over a dark area. That if you have 31 of them, now you're 64 milliseconds.
Yeah, I think you want to use the analog ones.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You got to use analog and sample them, and I just wasn't gonna. That's not on my radar.
How long is an A to D conversion in? Are you just going to use like a mega or something else?
I'm not going to do it. I'm going to use a camera, and their A to D conversions are fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They just seem way too slow for. It's certainly not. Yeah, like you said, not video frame rates.
Could almost how big is a mouse imaging array, since they do fast frame rates? Or you can't do the readout on an optical mouse very fast. Is that the deal?
I don't know.
Okay.
The camera on an optical mouse, I believe, it's either 9 or 16 by 9 or 16. I'm not sure.
Oh, too small. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, those PNW
Wow.
3901s, they're like 35 by 35, and they're super fast, like 90 frames a second. And it actually, the little board has 2 little LEDs on it, on the front of it. So you could use one of those.
Okay, cool.
Wow, Carl. Between you and Chris, wow, you guys are the LFS champs in my
I don't
books.
know. You made it possible there, Ron. So that's awesome. Which takes us to the prize box and the awards section, and then in our Saturday meeting. So we have these competition stickers for everybody. For freestyle, we have first, second, third. For line follower, basic and advanced, we have these, and for challenge, we have these. So let me see, how can we do this? What I can do is show them, and then we'll need addresses, and then we can mail it to people, whatever you choose. So let's just, we can bounce back and forth here. So if we quickly go through on freestyle, I've lost my notes here. So who did we have? We had, who had first place?
That was
Second-
Jesse.
I did, Jesse. Yeah.
So it was Jesse, and then David, and then
Carl.
Oh, then me. Okay, I'm going to abstain. So Jesse and David. So prize box 1, we have a couple of STM boards in the prize box back at the space, and then we also have access to through one of our sponsors these other items. We can get some reflectance sensor for you, or some crimp tools. We've been talking about those a lot lately in our weekly sessions, and a balance and charger discharger. So freestyle, Jesse and David, do anything on here jump out at you? If so, make a note and let us know. Or if you want to look at there's nothing preventing you from the other box as well.
I want a coffee cup.
A copy of this slide? What?
I want a coffee cup.
A coffee cup? Okay. David A gets a mug. All right. All right.
What was yeah, let's see what's in the prize box 2.
Prize box 2, okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're up to the Spark Fund level of prizes, unfortunately, but
I understand it. I did this for fun. I didn't even know what I was getting.
well, we appreciate that. So prize box 2, we have some TI launch pads, and then Palolo wheels, old chip and motor shield for Arduino, and then some other motor parts. Or like if there's something in Palolo that you think is comparable level, let us know and we can make it happen.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I don't know what my budget is. I'll look at that, but some Polo items seems like a good fit.
Okay. Well, what I can do is, Jesse, I'll mail you these slides, and then you can get an idea of the range we're thinking.
Okay.
And then,
thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll just get your shipping address, and we'll make it happen. Well earned, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay, line follower. We had Novice. We had Doug, and then Jesse, and then Ron. So, Doug, prize box 1, Jesse, prize box 2, and the same offer. So you can decide now or decide offline.
We'll go offline for me.
Doug's muted. Okay. Offline. Okay, Doug's muted. Okay. And Jesse, since you've got a prize box 1 and a prize box 2, we could probably arrange to combine if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Totally, sure. Yeah. Okay, then advanced, we had Ron, Doug, and Jesse. I think so. Same thing. We'll just handle those offline. And challenge, it was Chris, Ron, and Carl. So, Chris, anything jump out at you, or you want to decide offline? You're muted.
I think I'm going to take that Charger.
The Charger. All right.
Charger.
Excellent. Charger for Chris. You've earned it, my friend. It's great. Charger. Okay, cool. So that'll handle our things. Make sure we have your email, and I'll send your stuff. But there's one final thing we need to take care of. This is critically important, and that is an award for excellence. So we have member Ron Grant, who has made so much of this possible. And I think everyone really needs to recognize just how much, Ron, you've done for us.
Thanks.
And it's not just this, but over many years, I think, but especially for this LFS, for the creating and supporting it and providing it. I think we're all just in awe and in great thanks to you. So
great. Great.
We have a kind of virtual recognition now, and something physical we're going to arrange off the side.
Okay.
But you've earned it, and can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ron. This was really awesome, everything you did.
Great, thank you.
Seems appropriate, really appropriate, a virtual recognition for a virtual line follower.
That's right. So I'll take a picture of this with my camera.
There you go. There you go. Well, wait, before you do that, okay.
I'll screen capture it.
There, no, this is how we'll do it. So there, see? That's how we'll do this. Okay, Ron, so smile. Okay. No, lean to your left a little bit. Lean to your left.
Oh,
yeah.
left.
Oh, okay. I'll smile. Okay. Where's my? Oh, there. That's going to be nice. That's going to be beautiful.
Oh, but wait. Can we get me away from the? We're obscuring the logo.
Oh.
Which I can't take total credit for. I did work. I was the main logo guy, I guess.
Okay. There we go.
Did the hands, and John Drummond. Probably a lot of people don't know that name. Came up with a visor for that logo, and actually Steve Rainwater's company, he had somebody there that did the lettering for the logo.
Okay. Well, one more time, big smile for the camera.
Oh, looking at the camera.
Yeah, because we have to get the logo visible.
Oh, yeah.
There we are. Our virtual award. Perfect.
All right.
That's how award ceremonies are done. 2020. Hey. All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed this and the challenge of it all. And very good. So what else should we talk about? Any other items we want to talk on today, or?
Yes, thank you to Carl for making all this happen. I know it's been
Yeah.
a huge amount of work, and it includes him writing code for one of the contests. Anybody who's ever done a contest knows how hard it is to run the contest and be a participant in it. So thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, guys. Well, if there's nothing else, I would encourage you to join us again next Tuesday night, and we'll see what happens next.
Great.
See what projects we head into next June, right? Physical, Robo Magellan.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.